Okay, the Marine City Commission meeting is called to order on Thursday, September 2nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. Can we have a moment of silence to send our positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support? Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bryson.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Callahan.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Kreidler is not with us this evening. Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Mayor Verkaman.
Here.
Interim City Manager Ittrich.
Here.
All right.
Possible, I'd like to make a motion to excuse
Yep.
Commissioner Kreidler.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
We can do that all in favor.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carried. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda with the following amendment? We're going to add 7H Henry to the consent agenda, which is the special event for Friends of City Hall concert.
I'd like to know if we can move 7B to 11A.
I would like to see that happen as well.
7B
The cancellation of the September 16th meeting.
to what?
11A, which is the consent agenda items.
Okay.
Support needed.
So we have a motion and support.
Are you making a motion then to approve as amended with those two amendments?
Yes.
Okay. And Brian, you're seconding?
Yes.
All right, we have a
Jacob
mo,
had also expressed support, but not in a support manner, but that's okay. Either way.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Okay, public comment. Anyone is welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Commission will not respond, but we will follow up as necessary. Go ahead.
Phil Polukshak, 546 Chartier. Just a couple of items. First one, I want to talk about the minutes from the last meeting, 8/19/2021. My comments about 300 Broadway were kind of truncated. All it says is I'm in support of selling 300 Broadway, but when you listen to the audio, and I did send an email out, I don't know if everyone got it or not. When you listen to the audio, my comments were geared towards I'm in support of selling 300 Broadway to the Friends of City Hall. I'm not in support of selling the building to just anybody, and I spoke very heavily on that point. I'm asking that the following corrections be made to my statements under public comment on those minutes. It says read, Phil Luckshak spoke in support of 300 Broadway being sold or transferred specifically to the Friends of City Hall, but was opposed to the sale of the Guy Center. And that covers that one. The next thing is I want to talk about Commissioner voicemail. You guys do have an email, but a lot of the numbers on the cards go straight to City Hall. And I've asked to leave a message before for commissioners, but the commissioners do not have a voicemail box. I think it's time that something needs to be set up for the commissioners to use where people could leave a general voicemail for the entire commission or individual commissioners. And I'd be happy to work with the designated commissioner or the city manager, anyone. I have some ideas on how that might be possible and maybe even work, with High Tech or Comcast. I don't know who provides your phone service, but I think it's something that needs to be looked at and considered and discussed so residents have a better way to reach you other than just email. They can call or leave a message as well. The campfire ordinance is the next thing. I think it's great that we got an ordinance coming in this town to allow for burning, allow for campfires, things like that. I'm just asking that if people have fire rings already installed that are larger than the 30 inches, that the older fire rings be grandfathered in, so people don't have to run out and replace their fire ring just to accommodate. and grandfather it so that when that fire ring is done from wear and tear, they update it with a fire ring that meets the ordinance as currently with the 30 inches. And then with the burning weekends and holidays, if we could start fires at 1 p.m. and end at 11 p.m. on weekends and holidays. City hall hours, now with the new city manager coming in, I'd like the city to revisit being open on Fridays again. I don't know if the idea would be just straight Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or a fluctuation of hours where maybe you open earlier and close earlier on some days, open later, close later on some days, but kind of get the best of both worlds and go back to a 5 days a week there. The next thing I want to bring up was the mayor's commissioner privilege at the last meeting. I understand kind of what she was saying about, social media, but it's not going away. It's going to be, part of our everyday life. I don't think everything on social media is misinformation. A lot of the stuff that I posted on the Guys Center, I did post a bunch of stuff, was not misinformation. There is a responsibility on two ends. A responsibility on the poster to fact check and make sure their information is accurate that they're posting, and a responsibility on the readers of that information to go out and research to make sure the information that they're receiving is, accurate as well. So if both parties follow that responsibly, social media really shouldn't have, too much of an issue. When it comes to polls, they're not anything scientifically set in stone, but more or less, I think, utilizes a guideline to send a direction as to what people are thinking on a particular issue. And I think those thoughts should be taken into consideration, because whether they're from the area or not, someone could move out of the area that knows, about the Guys Center, things like that, or whatever the issue may be, they're still giving their opinion and a direction that they want to go on that. So I don't think they should be discounted or taken lightly. They are a good tool to also look at and utilize when weighing decisions. And that's everything I got. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. White.
Judy White, 8757 Anchor Bay Drive, Clay Township. I'm the president of Friends of City Hall. Thank you for your support, sir. I want to start out by talking about the bandstand. We have formed a joint operating committee that's made up of Pride and Heritage Museum people, Historical Society of Marine City, and Friends of City Hall. And I didn't know how this was going to work out as a cooperative committee, and I'm extremely pleased to report that it works very, very well. I don't know how often community groups have joined in this kind of cooperative effort, but boy, am I pleased. And the people who have volunteered to be on the joint operating committee for the bandstand are really sharp, smart, hardworking, fast about their volunteer work that they take on as responsibility. So it's really impressive. We have removed the plants from the bandstand. Those plants were not sold. We at first tried to give them back to the garden club. And remember that the temperatures were 90, 95. And someone from the garden club went and tried to retrieve a plant. It was impossible for this woman to do the work. She was able to take out one plant, take it home with her, adopt it to her house. She got in touch with everybody and said, I just can't handle this. The rest of the garden club said, no, thank you. It's too dreadful out there. And from there, I then turned it over to the membership of Foch, and nobody wanted to deal with it because of the heat. So I hired a master gardener named Joni Leroy, who is a Marine City resident. And she went and she did all of that work herself. She bagged all of those plants and put them under the shade of one of the pine trees. And then from there, because they were ready to move, we got people to come and pick them up. To the best of my knowledge, they've all been taken, they've all been put in the ground, and the ones that I know about are doing well. But I just wanted to get to that rumor about that we had sold them and tried to make a profit off of it. Not so. Excuse me. both Friends of City Hall and the Pride and Heritage Museum people have sent out letters and postcards asking for donations. They hit the mail yesterday. I would estimate there's about 350 of those requests that went out. So our fundraising for the replacement of the bandstand is well on the road. And the interesting thing is, the people on the Joint Operating Committee decided themselves that the money should go to Friends of City Hall, that we should exercise due diligence in reporting to everyone on the committee exactly what comes in, how our balance is doing, and so on. So, I thought it was going to be multiple banking systems handling this cash income, but they turned it over to us. September 18 is our concert at City Hall. The bands will set up in the east yard of City Hall in the shady area, and the audience can sit under the trees. We have Jimmy DeHeno opening the program at 4 p.m., and he's donating his art for the first hour. In the second hour, a community big band plays from 5 to approximately 6:30 or so, and we're still talking to some musicians about a closing act to take us somewhere close to 7 p.m. So that's where things stand right now. We are opening the building for public tours. We will be charging a fee for people to go through, and of course, the number of people on the tour will be limited to 15. Last thing on my list is to talk about the community center. Now, I know that you have put up a sign here and you have designated this area as the Guy Center, the Guy Community Center. Friends of City Hall has continued to talk about trying to integrate the operation of a community center into City Hall. In my estimation, community center should be a multi-purpose facility. It should have big rooms, small rooms. It should be capable of handling multiple activities at the same time. I think City Hall has the variety, the space. Wow. Thanks. I'll tell you what, we'll talk about this further.
That's interesting. It is.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Make sure that's interesting, bring that back up when you get I'd like to hear more about that when you get a chance.
No problem.
Anyone else? For public comment, anyone else? Okay. We are moving on. Can I have a motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes of July 15th, 2021?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any discussions, changes?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
should we
Yeah.
amend per Mr. Alexiak's recommendation to at least?
The next one.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, sorry,
19.
15.
Wrong
my bad.
meeting. Okay. All right, let's go on to 6B, boy. Can I have a motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes of August 19th, 2021?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Huh?
Got to do discussion.
Discussion.
Oh. Discussion, changes?
I do want to make one comment before we go over there. When we went to approval of the meeting minutes, I believe it was for July 15th, Commissioner Hendricks brought up some changes that she wanted to make, and I supported the approval of the minutes, and I just want to make it noted. It doesn't need to be in the notes, but I was confused on what I was approving. I thought we were supposed to approve, and then we were going to go back with another motion to make the changes. And that's why I voted yes on that. So, because I would have voted no, because I think your request for change was legitimate, I think. So,
Well, last meeting, we agreed that she would update it and bring them back, so
yeah.
once it was in there and I was fine with what was in there, we just approve them.
Yeah, that was done. Anybody else?
That's the old ones. All right, so are we gonna put in his request in these new ones, since that's what we're on?
I'd like to speak on that.
Yes, I want you to.
Every class, I've been educated in minute taking for many years I've been here. I do way more in the minutes than should be done. We'll talk about that at a future meeting, but under no circumstances should public comment. They should not be able to weigh in what they say in the minutes. I think we're opening a door that we don't want to open, because from here on in, the minute we allow this, anybody from the public can make a statement and say, I don't like what you said, because how do you summarize what they say? I actually put way too much in the public comment. This is what I've been taught. This is exactly in all my classes I've been to. Detailed public comment, let me get my glasses on, should not be included in the body's minutes, the body being our city commission. The purpose of public comment is for members of the public to inform the body, our city commission, of their views. This is an important function and is critical for the elected officials to listen with care to the public. There is no need to make a permanent written record of the public's observations. They suggest you either just say, Phil spoke, or put, he spoke regarding the property for sale owned by the city. Very, very minimal. And, you know, when we get into the meeting minutes, when we are wanting these extra things put in there, many minutes should not be verbatim. They need to be who was at the meeting, what day it was, what time, where it was held, what action the board took. That's all. We're putting way too much in there. It opens us up for legal problems. You can ask City Attorney Davis to weigh in on that. Or they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I understand what you said was important, but they're getting a little bit out of hand, because how do you summarize what someone says? They're never going to be happy with how I interpret it. We don't want them to be verbatim.
Right. And no one should tell you what to put in your meeting
I
minutes. You're a
can't allow
professional
that.
meeting minute taker.
If, Phil, if you would like it changed to say that you made comment about the sale of city property, I'll be happy to change that, but that's as far as I'm willing to go on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're opening a door we don't want to open.
And then, you know, plus our meetings are televised. You know, if somebody wants to watch, if somebody's that interested in, you know, what the public has to say, I mean, just watch it. You can clearly see.
That's not necessarily all the point. A lot of people can't see it. A lot of the elderly don't get a chance to watch it. Minutes are important because it's history to the community. And I understand where he's coming from. He's not asking you to put anything that he didn't say. He was just asking to clarify what he said.
So does the board want me to put 5 minutes of comments in the meeting minutes verbatim?
Well, I think that particular discussion was very important to the community, and we had a lot of people. Now, I've looked at meetings from, I know Clay Township, they put just about everything in their minute. I'm amazed at all this stuff, and you can buy programs that can transfer it and do it all for you. Even these minutes here, on page 4, when I talked about the invoices, it says nothing in here that these invoices are supposed to be resubmitted to us. It just says no detail provided, but I'd like it noted that we should get those back. And then there was another part here where we talked about the 25 feet on the back of the building, and I objected to the 25 feet. See, the problem you have is, after a while, the recordings disappear, and all that's left is these. I mean, let's face it, back in the old days, we got old books with all the minutes, and they took some pretty detailed minutes, and the only way you're going to know what happened sometimes is because of those minutes, and that's why minutes are so very important. I think they've tried to cut them down. I know in some townships, they just put in the motion, the support, the vote, and they don't put any discussion in, and I think that's terrible, because that happened to us on the fire authority. And the gal that was taking them, that's all she put in there for a year or two. And when everybody tried to go back to see how that was formed and why they did what they did, there was absolutely nothing. No detail, nothing that we could go back to figure out how it all came about. And that's really sad. So that's why sometimes it's important. I know sometimes it's more work, but it's very important to the people down the road who want to look at this stuff to find out what's going on.
Anyone else?
I just want to chime in. Is it okay with the board if I do so?
We've already had public comment. Now it's up to us to determine how we're going to move forward. So, Chris, I applaud your, your education, and I think that as a professional meeting minute taker, I mean, I don't care what other communities do. We felt our city does it a certain way, and it's the way that all clerks should be doing it, correct? I mean, it's not like it's specific to Marine City. You actually go to a statewide, yeah.
When I was appointed clerk in 2013, they don't require you to go to school. I chose to go get educated to do the best I could for the city. I go to every class available. I'm a certified Michigan Municipal Association clerk. I'm a certified Michigan professional clerk for the state of Michigan. I've been to classes with the MML. I go to classes multiple times a year for a weekend end with the state of Michigan. I just went to a class yesterday, drove to Frankenmuth.
Right.
So I'm doing as much as I can. These are the principles that I've been taught, and that's why I'm bringing them back to you. Because they know the best practices. I
Right.
understand there should be some written in there, what Lisa's saying. I understand that. Because we've looked back at meeting minutes before, old ones, and they didn't contain the information. There has to be a point where we say, we got to pull this back a little bit because we can't do them verbatim. And I can't, it has to be the clerk's interpretation. That's what minutes are. I looked up today just to refamiliarize myself. This is Robert's Rules, which we did not adopt, but meeting minutes should not be verbatim, but only a record of the business conducted, what was done, not what was said. Here's the MML. Every public body shall keep minutes of each meeting showing the time, date, place, members present, members absent, and any decision made at the meeting that's open to the public for the purposes contained within. And, they just say, keep them at a minimum. So I'm bringing that to you guys. I don't have a problem with the city commission wants to make meeting minute changes. They're
Right.
not perfect, I understand that. But when we allow the public to dictate what should be in the minutes, that's a no-no.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're opening a door we don't want.
But all he's
But
asking
I
you,
oppose the word dictating. I'm not dictating. I'm asking for accuracy. You choose, the open meeting.
This is not a debate. This is not a debate. You sent an email, we all received the email, and now we're giving you our decision about that. You literally put in quotation marks what you wanted her to say on meeting minutes, and she is the professional clerk. So we hear you. We hear you. But if one of us up here, like if Lisa wants to change or Jacob wants to change, we're sitting on city commission. That's a little bit different.
I think all he's asking basically is, it says, Philip Alexak spoke on support of the sale of 300 Broadway to Friends of City Hall. To Friends of City Hall. 2 words. That's, and you can abbreviate Friends of City Hall. Isn't that basically all you're asking?
Basically, all I'm asking.
So I don't see what the big deal is there.
No, actually, it says more than that, but.
Well, but we can abbreviate it to that. If that
I'm willing- I said
suffices.
I'm willing to change it to, he made comment about the sale of city property.
Because the issue here is that we are not going to set a precedent for the public to tell the city clerk how to do the minutes. We are not going to do that.
But the problem is now you've set a precedence where the public, they want to come and speak, and now you're going to ignore what they say and put
We're
in
not
what you want.
ignoring it. Don't put words in my mouth. We are not ignoring it.
Basically, you are.
We are not ignoring it.
Well, you are tonight.
No, we're not. We are making that change. So that's not ignoring
You
it.
didn't say you were making it, you just told them you weren't going to make it. So are you or aren't
Chris
you?
just said, didn't you?
I'd be willing to change it.
There we go.
To what?
He made comment about the sale of city property.
That's it. So you're cutting out less than what what you already had in
You
here.
can be sure from now on, every public comment will be that minimal from me, from this day forward.
It's sad, whatever.
No, I'm following,
it's not
I'm
sad, it's
following the
right.
direction of professionals who have taught me how
Right.
to do that.
Right.
MLL.
in the Township Association, those people, those are recommendations, they're not law.
No,
Yes.
they're not law.
Well, the law speaks even more minimalistic. The
Right.
law only requires date, time, action taken.
Yeah.
So, you can go community to community. There are minutes that are bare bones, there are minutes that go on and on and on. It's the preference of the community.
Right.
No.
Okay, so we have, anyone else about this? We have a motion and we have a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Moving on, consent agenda. We have several things on the consent agenda. We have a communication from Jim Turner. I did respond to Jim Turner. And we are moving that one. So we've got the SCC, the Gypsy Moth Program. We have the special event, 10 Years Automotive, Annual Customer Appreciation and Memorial Car Show. We have another special event, the MC Chamber of Commerce Pumpkin Palooza. We have a business license for Harvest Church. We have a business license for the Backdoor Grill. That is in the back of Harvest Church, correct? Yes. Yes. Just so everybody knows where it's at. And that's it on consent agenda because we're moving B and H.
Letter H.
I thought we were moving B and H.
No, we
Oh.
just moved B, that's it.
Okay. And H, special event, Friends of City Hall concert. Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda letters A and C through H.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Financial business. We have expenditures including payroll for $110,685.75. Can I have a motion to approve expenditures?
I make a motion to approve expenditures for $110,000, $658.75.
We
Support.
have a motion and support. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have one on that. I see that our building inspector got another siphon for a phone, $40, but nothing for hours. And that last one that we got was from January for $3,000. I've been through several communities with auditors, and that's a no-no. You have to pay him as a weekly or set up something, and you don't wait 6 months to pay him for something.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to unfinished business, we have the ratification of level 3 background investigation for the new city manager. City Attorney Davis is going to speak on this.
This item is going to take me a while, as is item 10C, so bear with me. During the week of August 21st, we had a meeting here on August 19th, if you recall. I started getting phone calls about the issue of the background investigation related to the new city manager. I received multiple phone calls from multiple sources. I was actually out of town, but I took every single call that I received. Just by way of background, you received a memo from me outlining what I was learning from these issues, and then you received another update, and then you received another update today, wherein I provided you with the completed level 3 background investigation and the corresponding invoice. So as we walk back, we understand that, the city manager resigned, Mr. Ittridge was appointed, the interim city manager. You guys went ahead and set up a committee. Ms. Tatman interviewed and was selected by the commission by a unanimous vote on July 20th of 2021. You then asked the committee to work with me to extend an offer of employment, which we developed a contract, and I developed a contract that had blanks in it, and the committee worked directly in negotiations and filled in the contract, and that contract was ultimately approved at your last meeting. A motion was made to waive competitive bidding for level 2, and then a second motion was made just to have a background investigation done that didn't exceed $3,500. So on July 28th, a written employment agreement was made. The employment offer was subject to enhanced background investigation. The level of investigation in the employment offer was not identified. Jim was very helpful in helping to explain the Pfeiffer levels of background investigation. As I wrote in my memo to you, there was level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. At some point, the committee called a meeting of the committee as a whole, and they were analyzing level 2 and level 3 and had come to a conclusion that portions of the level 2 were a bit too intrusive, but, you know, certainly level 4 wasn't good enough, so there was some discussion among the committee members. They called me on the telephone and asked me if they could work on those issues, and my opinion was yes, if the committee was going to reach an agreement as a whole, and that it would be later relayed to the commission. I wasn't present at that meeting, nor were any of the non-committee members, but there seemed to be a unified position that there would be a level 3 investigation conducted, which made sense. What happened then is Pfeiffer sent in their investigation, and it's by date August 13th. Can you pass these down? I'm handing you the invoice which came with the first investigation report. You don't have this in my memo to you. And what you'll note is that the background investigation is for Holly Tatum, probably a typo, city manager, but the invoice does not identify the level of the investigation, which concerned me after I saw it. So when I did get involved, you see the invoice that you received today. It clearly designates, as I spoke to Mr. Pfeiffer, that number one, we got to spell her name right, and number two, you have to designate on the invoice the level of the investigation that you're submitting to us. So you can see the difference. The first one did not identify the level of investigation, the second one did. You know, there's an issue here that the investigation came to the office. I think it was directed to the interim city manager. It didn't identify what level of investigation was completed. After all my review of this, it appears the city manager accepted it as what was ordered because it didn't say anything different on the invoice. And it made its way to the clerk, who made its way into the file for this individual, the personnel file. Thereafter, it appears that somehow the investigation report and the issues with it left the personnel file, which is a separate issue, and made their way into communications with others, and that's when I started getting the call. It's very, very clear that what was done was not a level 3. It's very, very clear that what came into you with the first invoice that went into the file was inadequate. I think the police chief is here. He could tell you it probably wasn't a level 4. But nonetheless, it didn't identify when it came in, and I don't know of anyone in the office who could look at it and say, well, this is clearly ineffective, except for Jim could probably look at it and say, this is not adequate. So when I got involved, I said, look, the issue that has to happen here is we need to elevate this to a full level 3. That's what has to happen. And so I issued a memo to you saying, you know, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work directly with Pfeiffer. I'm going to order a level 3. I'm going to get you a level 3. And you received it today. It's a full level 3. It's labeled as a level 3, and it's being invoiced as a level 3. So you now have a full level 3 investigation background. I don't know where the miscommunication went when the committee met, and then the communication went to Pfeiffer. I don't know how it got misconstrued, what was being ordered, but it was somehow we didn't get what the committee decided on. I've had direct communications with Mr. Pfeiffer. Seems like a great guy. I worked with him on this second report. I worked with the city manager, providing the names and the dates and all the information that Mr. Pfeiffer wanted. Mr. Pfeiffer listed it out to me. I gave it to the proposed city manager. We filled in the blanks. Mr. Pfeiffer did the investigation. You got it today by email from me. So because of that decision and because of that process, I advised you in a memo that I think you need to take action to ratify the decision to accept and receive the level 3 investigation. Where the miscues went on, probably at multiple stages. I think you made a vote last on the Thursday, the 19th, to approve the new city manager. You approved the contract. I don't know who knew at that time that the background investigation was inadequate. I don't know who didn't know at that time whether the background was inadequate. The point is you have to fix these things, and the fix here was to get it right. So that's the background. And I gave you support in this memorandum for all of those issues. And that's why I asked that it be on the agenda for the ratification of the level 3 investigation report.
Okay. I'd like to speak on this next. So, I brought this forward because at the last meeting, I asked whether the investigation was complete. None of us ever got a copy, at least I didn't. I know several others that didn't. There was also, I found out after the fact that that this investigation wasn't done properly. But we were told and made to believe before the vote that a level 2 was done and completed. Now, I'm going to talk about the committee meeting because I was in the committee, but not for all of it. I tried to present that information to Mr. Davis. I noticed it's not in here. So at the last committee meeting that we all had, we were all called in because there was issues being presented that on the level 2. The person did not want to do the level 2. So we did discuss a level 3, but I reminded the committee that this commission voted on a level 2 and that they had to follow what the commission did. We couldn't change that. That meeting ended, I thought, but the meeting went on after the fact without myself being present. And I think Jim can attest to all this. So I have some questions here that I'd like to ask because a lot of this didn't happen. So there was also another piece of information. I found all this after the meeting, last meeting. I was approached by Jim, who brought me all the information telling me that he didn't realize that what we had was not in our packets. There was also, I'd like to know, who on this board received an anonymous letter in reference to Holly and when? I want to know who got one. I didn't, but I found out about it. And apparently, what city staff members were made aware of the same letter. So city staff and members get that, and now I'm not saying there's anything in it, it's an anonymous letter, so whatever. But there's issues with that, and every member of this board should have been notified of that letter. And I think Mr. Davis was approached and told that it should be given out. Also, was a complaint made in reference to the anonymous letter in the background investigation? What was done with it, and when was it filed? Anything? A staff member made a complaint.
A staff member made a complaint?
Yep. Well, I'm asking you, you guys were contacted, and apparently you didn't respond. Was the city manager informed of the complaint, and if so, when? So you're saying you didn't get any complaint?
I get no complaints.
Okay, and you didn't get any complaint either?
Me?
Yeah,
From a staff member?
yeah.
No.
Besides me calling you.
No, and Lisa, just on your comment that your statements aren't stuff you gave me, I talked to a lot of people on this. I didn't put in here what anybody told me.
I understand,
I didn't put what Jim told me, I didn't put what anybody.
and I understand, but I
I just
think,
put the facts.
I think some of the people need to know some of the history of what.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay. So, we'll skip to this. So, were you contacted about the anonymous letter? I guess I'll ask you.
I was, and I said that if in fact it is a letter, and if in fact it had some veracity, that it should be disclosed to the entire commission.
Okay. And it was not, at least I didn't get it. I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't get that letter. And that's the kind of stuff that I don't like that was going on before we made this vote. So I guess I want to know, why was it hidden from the rest of the city commission? Why wasn't that letter presented to all of us? Answer? Yeah.
It was addressed to the mayor and the mayor pro tem.
Yeah.
I don't open up their mail.
So, but you were privy to the letter.
I did not read the letter.
Well, Mr. Davis told you to give it out. Why didn't you give it out to all of us?
It had no merit.
It didn't matter.
It had no merit.
It did
was
not
a
matter whether it had
non-letter as far
merit
as I
or
was
not.
concerned.
But you
You
can't
know,
make
and
that
for
decision.
coming in here and constantly insinuating that there was wrongdoing. There was no wrongdoing in any of the process.
I'm not finished yet, okay?
Okay,
And
well-
I got the floor, all right?
Right ahead.
So I'm just asking you.
You asked me a question and I'm
Yeah,
answering you.
But you're going farther than the question. So why didn't you give it to us?
Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
Because I just said it. It was a non-letter. It had no merit. I didn't know where it
Even
came
though the
from.
attorney told you to give it out?
That is absolutely not true.
Oh, so he's lying.
No one's lying.
Well, he
Don't
just-
insinuate
He just
that
said
anyone
to
is
give it
lying
out.
here.
He just said to give it out.
No,
So why
he
didn't
did
you give it
not.
out? Oh, okay.
Because it had no merit.
All right, we'll go to the next question. Okay, so why did the subcommittee wait until I left the meeting thinking it was over to decide to continue contact the attorney over what level of investigation in the clerk's office?
I don't remember that happening at all.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I'm telling you the truth, and you're not accepting the truth.
Yeah, I said I'm sure.
Okay?
Lisa, when I did talk to you, Lisa, you did tell me that you agreed to something different than a level 2.
I said we discussed the level 3, and then I told them that they could not go to that because that we had to stick with the level 2 because that's what the commission voted on. Did I not, Jim? He was in there.
But didn't you all agree at
No,
some point?
there was no vote.
Didn't you all agree to remove some of the level 2?
We agreed to remove medical because it wasn't
Right.
listed on the stuff.
So that would no
wasn't even-
longer be a level 2.
But that wasn't listed in the level 2, medical. So, and we both agreed to keep it at a level 2 because that's what the commission wanted. Correct?
Can I speak? I'm the one that contacted the city attorney to review what we were going to do to make sure we were all on the same page and we were good with that. I wrote down exactly, we also had circled what we wanted removed. I typed it up. I ran it by him of what we wanted to be removed, and I was the one that did that.
So why wasn't I notified since I was on the subcommittee?
We discussed it at the meeting and I related.
No. You guys had a meeting after I left.
Not have
We
a
did
No, I
vote.
did not.
Was
We did
I
not
there
have-
when that phone call took place?
We did not have a meeting. My job is to run things by the city
You went in
attorney.
your
We don't have a
office.
city manager here that's in the office all the time. I ran it by to be responsible. We didn't have a meeting.
Okay.
I went to my office
All right.
and called the city attorney to be responsible. that
With
we were
the
taking
city
an action.
manager and the mayor and Jim.
Did
Why
you
don't
want
you
me to
let her
answer the
speak?
question?
All four of you were in the office, were you not?
No, I called the city attorney to make sure what we were doing.
Okay.
Do you have something else to say, Jim?
The four of us were in your office when you contacted the city attorney.
Okay, I don't remember who was in the office.
Okay.
But I thought the responsible thing to do was to check with the attorney before we did
And
anything.
that's fine, but why were you cutting me out of the
I didn't cut you, you left, and I went and called. the
Because I thought the meeting was over. If the
They
meeting wasn't
followed me.
over, you should have
If they were
let
in
me
my
know.
office, they followed me in there.
Okay.
My job was to make sure what we were doing was correct.
Okay.
That was my
Because
job.
the meeting was over.
The
We were
meeting-
done.
If they followed me in the office, it doesn't mean that the meeting continued. We
Right.
often
We
chat
were
in my
done.
office.
Okay. Did the city attorney advise the interim city manager that the subcommittee could reduce the level of investigation when called, but later claimed they had to tell the commission?
I advised them on the telephone that if they thought the rational approach was that the level 2 was in some instances too intrusive, and they all agreed, that they probably had the latitude to make some adjustments to the level 2. I thought Jim was on board with that, and I thought you were on board with that. And then I said we would have to ratify that later at a commission meeting, that decision.
And that never happened.
No, that's what's on the agenda tonight.
Correct. Was the letter that requested a level 2 investigation signed and provided to Pfeiffer? Because there was a letter. And I can give everybody here a copy of that. Let's see.
Here's a staple.
So the first letter shows that it says to request a level 2 investigation and was signed. Then somehow there was a second letter that materialized that had the level 2 information removed. So I'm trying to figure out why there's two letters and which one got sent to Pfeiffer.
This one got sent to Pfeiffer. This is the one that Jim drafted for me,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Correct, Jim? You're correct. I am correct.
So
Jim
on both
drafted-
of these letters, only one is signed,
This one, I have no idea what the hell this one is.
the unsigned one.
The unsigned one.
So anybody could have wrote this.
I have no idea, I've never seen this letter.
Okay, all right, I'm just asking.
I
It's
have no idea.
unsigned.
Where did
It's
it come from?
unsigned. It had all- it
Where did
holds
this
no
letter
merit.
come from? I have the right to know. My name's on here. Where did it come from?
I have no idea, that's what I'm trying to find out. So my next question is, who contacted Pfeiffer and reduced the investigation from a level 2 to less than a level 4?
I did.
Okay. Why did we reduce it to less than a level 4?
This whole thing could have been avoided if you, the chief, please, had come to me with these issues before this.
I'm asking the questions now.
I'm answering you.
So why wasn't the anonymous letter and the Pfeiffer investigation in our last packet? You had an investigation that we paid $500 for, why did we not get it?
He did not have any names or anything on the cover letter. We sent it back and asked him to redo it. It came back without the names and everything on there again. We sent it back and asked him to redo it.
But you told us everything was fine.
It was a fine that, up to that night, yes.
But it was less than a level 4 when we asked for a level 2. All right, okay. So the first investigation cost us $500, and we were figuring it was gonna be over 1,000. So, and you provided a copy of that, which it was less than a level 4. So why was all this kept from us at the last meeting, before the hiring, claiming everything was good and there was no problem, and you allowed us to vote on something when we didn't know what we were getting on here?
Okay, you want to get into this, we'll get into this. You and Jim knew that it was a level 4, hybrid level 4.
No, we didn't. We agreed
did.
to level 2. Jim,
Did you know before the
Did you
last
know
meeting,
before the
Jim?
last meeting, Jim?
No, I did not. I found all this out after the commission voted to appoint her as the city manager, when I discussed everything with the level 4.
Okay, did you come to me and say anything about that?
I did not.
So, there's your answer. I did not know it was a level 4.
But you told me up here that you authorized the less than a level 4.
What?
I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm asking. The problem is, too, is now we have the same 3 people have been interacting with our new hire. I'm concerned about that. And who has hands on the current file for Holly Tatman, and who has access to it? There's a file,
That's a good question,
so I'm not
because
going
it seems like information from that file has escaped. But that's a different issue for a different evening. I think what happened here, Lisa, is you guys, if you look at one of my exhibits, you see the side-by-side analysis. What's a level 2, what's a level 3? And when you guys were at that meeting, you circled certain things on the level 2 list that should come out.
We didn't circle anything.
The version I have, there's circles, things are
We
coming
each
out.
had our own copy. So I don't know
All right.
how we could circle
So,
something. and give
so
it-
now you and Jim are saying, and this would be contrary to what you told me earlier, both of you are saying there was no such discussion of reducing from a level.
Yes, there was a discussion until I told them that they could not reduce it because the
Okay.
commission voted for a
All right.
level 2.
So I think what happened is, it appears that Mike then contacted Pfeiffer and placed the order. And that's where in my memo I say, I don't know how that communication went. Maybe it didn't go well, maybe it was wrong. Pfeiffer then sends an invoice that says, we're done. So it comes into the office and everybody thinks, well, here's the invoice. It doesn't say any level. It doesn't even identify her name properly. And it doesn't say it's a level 2, level 3, or a level 4. So it gets filed. When I looked at it, and I confirmed with Jim, it wasn't even, I don't even know if it was a level 5. It was something we didn't understand, so that's when I said I'm gonna contact Pfeiffer myself, and I'm gonna make sure that the commission gets a full-blown level 3 with an invoice that says level 3.
Okay. Well,
Oh, can I say something?
sure.
When we were voting and all came up, I specifically asked the board on the other side, was everything done and was everything up? The answer was yes. It wasn't. I didn't have any paperwork on it, and I didn't even know anything about it. And I voted yes, not having all the information. And I specifically asked for it. It should be in the minutes.
So what happens to the vote since we were all not given any of the proper information? To me, it's not proper that we voted. That was under false pretense.
Well, that is why, in between the meetings, I intervened and got a level 3 ordered so that it would be with you this evening for you to potentially ratify the level 3 as being sufficient background for the decision you made at the last meeting.
Yeah, and I don't think a level 3 is sufficient. I think we need to stick with the level 2. That's sufficient.
Not your modified version, you mean the full level.
The full level 2, yeah. There's some issues on there that need to be addressed in here. And the only point I'm going to make here is the current situation calls for an immediate outside investigation, as far as I'm concerned, by the state police to get to the bottom of everything that's transpired in the last several weeks. This is the only way to evaluate what happened, how to make sure it doesn't happen again, and get to the truth.
I agree, because I think there was information known by some that could only have come from the personnel file. And I'd like to know how that happened. So I agree with you that we should investigate that.
I agree with
And
that, too.
everybody here should be interviewed.
I agree with that, too.
I agree.
I agree.
So,
But in the meantime, we had an interview process. It was completed. We readily admit that there were some glitches in the background investigation. But she passed with flying colors,
well,
every one that we did, correct?
well,
Level 3.
I gave you that's for you to decide.
Yep.
I don't
We
see that this-
voted at the last meeting, and everyone sitting on this board voted yes.
We voted without the proper information, that you lied to us about what we got.
No
was no-
one lied. I
Bullshit.
take umbrage to that.
Bullshit. Well, you
You're
can
going
if
to
you
swear in a
want.
city commission meeting?
Yeah, I will.
No, you
The
shouldn't.
people implicated in this need to be removed until the investigation is complete, and I'm telling you that.
But that would be a lot of people, Lisa.
No, not
Yeah,
everybody.
that's a lot of people.
I think it is.
Well,
And we also have a person that has already left their employment and plans on starting here next Wednesday.
I don't care.
I care.
This was all done
Everything was
improperly.
done.
It was not-
Everything was done properly. There's some internal leaks that need to get looked at, but that has nothing to do with hiring an extremely
Well,
qualified.
under the information that I have, yes, it does. And until we get to the bottom of it with the investigation, we should not move forward on bringing this person on board at all. We need to have the investigation first before we allow her to come in, because I think there's some issues that need to be addressed there.
She
and
has,
that's the
she
only
has
fair
no
way to
issue.
do
She
it.
passed her background test. Every single.
This last
thing
one
she-
wasn't all.
Every single thing that we asked of her.
Did you read the
for
last
her,
one?
It was perfect. She passed with, it was
Did
perfect.
you read the last one we just got?
Of course.
Well, then you're missing something in there.
It just depends on how you read it.
It was pretty cut and dry to me. But there's some real issues in here, and I think the investigation needs to be done first before you do anything, because if you don't, we have employees also that are trusting us to do the proper thing so that we don't create a hostile work environment for them. We have an obligation to these employees who have brought information forward. We have an obligation so that they don't sue us for not taking care of them and making sure that this whole
We
thing
have
is dealt
employees
with.
that got information possibly in an, not a very ethical way.
We'll let the
And then
state
you're
go
going to worry
figure that
about a
out.
lawsuit when we have a signed contract, employment contract, and you're not worried about a lawsuit?
No, I'm not worried about a lawsuit from her because she's an at-will employee, and we don't have to accept it
So
being
is
the
every
fact
employee in our
that
employee.
we didn't do a proper investigation. This board hasn't even decided on what level of investigation we're going to do. In my opinion, you do a level 2, because there's some issues in there that need to be addressed. We have the money for it. I don't see what the big deal is. If there's nothing there, then there should be no harm in doing that level 2. So I would make the motion that we continue with a level 2 on the applicant.
Support.
We have a motion and support.
You got discussion? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that I specifically asked when the time comes to vote, was, because I did not have the document, and I was told that everything was fine. So I was misled as a
Nobody here was
commissioner.
misled. Nobody here was misled.
I didn't have the documents. Did you have them?
We have
How come
some-
you didn't get them
We
to
have some
us?
internal issues that we are definitely
She
going
had
to
them,
be.
but we didn't have them.
We're going to have.
Every
we have
commissioner is
internal issues that we're
allowed
gonna be
all the
looking at.
information at the same time, not a month later, 2 weeks later, or 1 hour later, at the same time.
Yeah, we're voting on an important position here. And this is
We've
just
already
terrible.
voted. Right
No,
now, the
that
only
vote-
thing that we're supposed to be doing today is ratifying the level 3
That
background
vote is crap,
investigation.
absolute crap, because we did not do it. So let's do a roll call vote for the, that's what I'm asking for.
What was your motion again?
To
we
elevate,
do a level
elevate
two.
the level 3 to a level 2.
Correct.
Commissioner Callahan,
No.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
No.
Mayor Verkaman,
No.
Commissioner Bryson,
No.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion fails.
All right, I'm going to make a motion. I make a motion to ratify the decision that we made to move the background analysis to a level 3 like we had paid for, and to continue the hiring process of the new city manager.
So what does that mean? We're doing a level 3, and are we going to re-vote to hire her?
We did.
Yeah, but
And
you have
we've
to
al-
approve
And we've
it.
already hired her. We have a signed contract.
I'm sorry, we didn't hire her because that was all misleading. So as far as I'm concerned, the vote
In
should
your
go
opinion,
again.
it was misleading. So I make a motion
Wow.
that we continue with the ratification of level 3 background investigation, and am I reading this right? Continue with the hiring?
If you were going to make that kind of motion, you're just moving to ratify the interim decision to allow a level 3 background analysis,
Which we've done.
which you now have possession of.
Right. Okay. That's my motion. I need support.
I will support.
Discussion now?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so as a newer member of the commission, want everybody, for the sake of the minutes, to show that when this was received, I personally looked over every single level and portion of that in the background check. What was submitted to us at that time did indeed fully constitute a level 4 and met a level 3 with some, removals. Now that the level 3 has fully been completed, that is something. My only question would be, and I believe this is a valid one, why was the commission not informed by the committee that we were downgrading from the agreed to level 2, that I actually received confirmation that Jim did have completed for Elaine, our previous city manager, to the level 3? And I will preface that just by saying that in my eyes, there are 2.5 things sort of removed from between the level 2 and the level 3. It's a social networking and internet presence investigation, which again, in my eyes, that can get a little dicey and a little messy and may not necessarily be pertinent to this. I think that in some ways it could, but in some ways it can't. And then, I think that was it, actually. More family and more personal references. So that really is the removed piece. So personally speaking, I'm okay going to a level 3, but I am disappointed that as a commissioner, I was not informed until all of this kind of comes out.
And that's exactly what I was saying, that we weren't informed, we didn't get the information, and we voted on the information that was verbal, not in print.
We readily admitted
This all
that,
happened after you voted.
right, and it happened after.
So if you read the bottom of my memo, I did conclude the committee should have advised the city commission that it changed the investigation from level 2 to level 3. The difference in the rationale should be made clear. And that's why, at the time, I said, you know, we need to move on this. I need to get a level 3 done. And so, in order to answer your question directly, if an in-between meeting decision like that is made, then it has to come to you at the very next meeting for you to either ratify or not ratify the decision. Lisa made a motion, legitimate motion, to say, I'm not ratifying level 3, I want it to be level 2. That motion failed. What's before you now is the ratification of a decision made in between meetings to move the level 2 to level 3. That's one issue. That's procedural, but I agree with you that there should have been a communication on that issue, and that's a failing. That's a failing, no doubt about it.
So is the original vote any good?
Which, the
The original vote, when we voted for her, thinking that we had a level 2 done and we weren't shown the information or given.
When you voted last Thursday night, the only thing anyone had was what's that?
We didn't have anything.
I know, the only thing that was available was an invoice with an undisclosed level on it, which I gave you tonight,
Yeah.
and something that made its way to her personnel file. I never saw it. I don't know if any of you saw it. But when it was received, I think the impression was that it was consistent with what was ordered, but it wasn't.
Correct.
Absolutely wasn't. And I can tell you, having talked to Mr. Pfeiffer, he's a very nice man, but I had to take some time to tell him exactly what I wanted.
And that's fine, but we still have the dilemma that we voted on something and we were misled on what we were voting on without the proper information or seeing it. So is that good or is it not good?
Well,
I think it should be
you're-
taken over.
So the procedures would be,
Yep,
I'm sorry?
he did. When I called him on the phone, he said she was good to go.
Oh,
But that was doing a less than a level 4.
yeah, that was the level. So Lisa, you have what's known as restorative motion issues. So you're at the very next meeting from a prior vote.
Correct.
You would either have to make a motion to rescind the prior vote, right? Or a motion to reconsider the prior vote. Those are the restorative motion practices that you've used in the past. So the only issue right now on the agenda, or the only motion that is
on the floor.
is, are you okay with the decision to move it from level 2 to level 3 in the interim period between your last meeting and this meeting, and getting it done?
Right. So we had a motion and a support on that issue, on that.
So I can say personally, I am extremely upset at the breakdown in communication that seems to have happened. And I am fully in support of having the state police come in and investigate what happened and having a third party figure out what happened, where did things go wrong. Having said that, we need to move forward. So just so I can hear it again, the level 3 investigation that was completed that we received today, that was a complete level 3 in totality, nothing omitted, nothing added, no, et cetera, et cetera.
So when I spoke to the investigator, and Jim, you know him better than I do, and he seems like a quality guy, I said, you have to send an invoice that labels her name correctly. And number 2, you need to put on the invoice exactly what you did. And so he wrote the words, which I've given to you, complete level 3. Jim, have you had an opportunity to review the complete level 3?
I have not, no.
I sent it to you earlier today. Is it?
I didn't have time to review it today.
Okay, so you don't know if it's a level 3?
I have no idea. I didn't have.
But if he says it's a level 3, are you,
I trust him.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy. So I said, do not send something that does not, you need to put your Fight for Investigation LLC on the line, and you need to tell this commission what you gave them. And so he did. So the answer is I don't know level 1 from level 8,
Yep,
but this guy says this is a level 3.
yep.
So,
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second to ratify. Can you read my
Yeah,
motion?
for the purpose of the,
this is simply to ratify the interim decision made to go from level 2 to accept a level 3 as the enhanced background check pursuant to the offer of employment.
Okay,
This is not the issue of,
Okay.
it's a
know,
whole separate issue, right?
yeah, this is
Yep.
just, is it okay that there was a decision? And if you're not okay with that, then that's okay, but that's all you're deciding on right now.
Right. So, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Well, I have a question. This brings us to that what we got at the time we voted, there was nothing. And now this motion is for us to give you the authority, that board, the authority to go to a lower classification than we asked for in the beginning?
Yes. You're not voting on what you voted on, Bill. You're just voting to say it was okay as an interim measure to go from level 2 to the full level 3. You're not saying anything beyond that.
I just think there's a real lack of communication with this. Go ahead.
So what's your vote?
What's your vote?
No.
Commissioner Ross.
yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
No.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Okay. So then I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider the prior vote for Holly Tapman's contract.
Okay, so procedurally, and I know you don't do this often, and you're relatively new, the only thing you're voting on when you do a motion to reconsider is the reconsideration itself. This is not on the substance.
So we're just going to vote to
If the motion
reconsider.
to reconsider passes, then you would bring another motion on the approval of the contract to hire this person. So the first motion is purely procedural.
Okay.
Do you want to reconsider your prior vote? That's what's before you right now.
Okay.
okay, wait, explain this to me again. So you're asking to reconsider the vote we made at our last meeting?
Correct.
Okay,
Just to reconsider it.
just to reconsider it?
The vote
Yeah,
for
and this
what?
is important.
Yeah,
This is
that's-
important.
It's very important.
Yeah,
So procedurally, you have restorative motions, and restorative motion bring back a prior motion. They restore a prior motion. What Lisa is asking is, first, number one, will you agree that we should reconsider our prior vote to approve the contract for the hiring of the city manager? You're not voting to approve it or to disapprove it, you're just, are you willing to reconsider that? Do you feel you need to reconsider that vote?
We need a second?
We didn't get a second.
We do.
Said
still
you need a second? I'll
We still need a
second
second.
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross.
No.
Mayor Verkaman.
No.
Commissioner Bryson.
No.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes?
Commissioner Callahan.
no,
Commissioner Clausen.
it. Yes.
Motion fails.
Pardon me.
So before we finish all this, I think there's still another issue. So if we're going to have an investigation, we don't need any motion, we can allow him to do whatever?
Who's him?
Jim?
No, Jim
No.
cannot do this investigation.
All right?
He's,
Yeah. He wasn't gonna, no.
no, he
The
can't.
contact. Who's gonna contact the state police? You are.
Oh,
You got pointed at.
Who
You got
are you?
pointed at by me.
I can do that.
Well, does it
Or-
make any difference whether he calls them and tells them to send somebody?
Who?
He can't pick anybody. Jim,
Why don't Jim and I do it?
okay.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to approve that?
So no.
Okay. And the last thing that I'm concerned about is because all this, until this is done, I still think we should put a different interim city manager in place until we get this resolved. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot more to it than,
It has no fault of her own. What's happening is internal, that needs to be dealt with. It's
Yeah.
not our candidate, or our new hire, I should say.
well, I don't know about that either.
Nope, I don't like that insinuation at all. She should not be walking in the door with a red letter on her shirt. That's wrong.
We should not
That's
be
wrong.
doing anything with her until we
That's
get this
wrong.
investigation complete. I'm telling
All
you.
right, we're moving on. Unfinished business, B, the repeal of section 70.057, the snow removal ordinance number 2018-01. This is the second reading adoption. I need a motion to approve the second reading adoption on the snow removal ordinance.
I'll make a motion, we approve the second reading and adoption of the repeal of section 70.057, snow removal of ordinance number 2018-01.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes?
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And new business, Friends of City Hall, request for signage. That's the lawn signs, right? They're putting up the lawn sign.
No, that's
Forgot.
actually their, let me find it here.
Excuse me.
Okay, actually, they want to put up two signs, one facing Broadway, and one facing South Main.
Oh, I got it. I knew I had it. Right, because this is going to be for the, their campaign, right?
Yes, their campaign, capital
Their-
campaign.
Phase 2 restoration, their capital campaign. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, any discussion on this? We good?
Was there phase two, that was the elevators? What was phase two?
Yeah, they're gonna do, they're trying to get money for ADA restrooms, elevator, and a new bandstand.
I'll make a motion that we give permission to the Friends of City Hall to put up their 4x8 coroplast sign.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Board appointment, board of review. We have one applicant, Gary Wester, who is interested in getting involved with the city under the board of review.
I'll make a motion, we appoint Gary Westrick for Board of Review.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Attorney opinion regarding the retiree healthcare eligibility. Attorney Davis?
Okay, so buckle in, because this is a interesting and detailed topic. This memo is from April of this year. And this matter has been discussed at the pension, retiree, healthcare board levels and has been motioned to come to you. This discussion today is not the end of the discussions you're going to hear on this, because those two boards have asked for an analysis of other individuals' eligibility for health care as well, but that is not before you this evening. This is an older issue involving Richard Ames and John C. Emil's spouse. And I provided this information to the boards, and they received it, and Commissioner Hendrick can probably tell you that I begged, borrowed, and said, if you got anything you want me to look at, please get it to me. Anything new you have, please get it to me. Any ordinance section you want me to review, please point it out to me that would change my opinion or alter my opinion in any way. And I have not received any such information. We discussed this at great length. You have two ordinance schemes that work together, and you have Section 32 that generally governs retirement, and you have Section 33 that governs healthcare, and they interplay. And they go back a long ways, and they don't impact a lot of people going forward, but they do impact some individuals. And they interplay in such a manner that your role in the retirement program affects whether or not you have a role and an eligibility in the healthcare program. That makes some sense, right? And I know if you've read my memo, and I know you read it twice, the level of analysis here is rather detailed. So you have to read both ordinances in conjunction and in harmony. So the question that was posed to me was whether Richard Ames and the spouse of John Emil qualify for retiree health care. And my opinion is they do. So let's start there. My opinion is they do, and I have not been convinced of any other opinion, and I haven't received any other documents that would change that opinion. And if you look at my memo, it's based on a series of facts related to both Ames and then to Emil. So I worked with the city staff to gather these facts. And as if any of you sit on those boards, you would know that I really pressed hard. If anybody had additional facts, you got to give them to me, because I don't want to assume facts that aren't true. But I have the facts. So starting on page 3 of my memo, I kind of give you an easy roadmap of how you have to follow this analysis, because it's not easy. And essentially what you have to say is, in order to be entitled to your retiree health care benefits, you have to look at the person's eligibility in the retirement program itself. And you look to whether certain people are eligible. You have to be a retiree of the city. You have to elect to be a participant, or you have to be a spouse or an eligible dependent. So the key factor here is you have to elect to be a participant. And this issue is being raised because there's some language in here that allows people to make a choice at some point whether they're going to take your retire pension benefits or they're going to be a member of the ICMA. There's a roadmap. And then you look at section 3320, and it defines what does it mean to be a participant. And you're either a full-time employee on or before December 31st, 2007, or you're a member of the medical plan for active employees and retirement system immediately prior to your retirement, you receive benefits from the retirement system and you retire with a service retirement. So intuitively, and there are people on the lower boards, intuitively, it sounds like, well, you have to be a certain status within the retiree system in order to trigger your retiree health care benefit. But then when you go to section 3203, it tells you what does it mean to be a member? What does it mean? You define a membership in the retirement system. You actually defined it, which is interesting to me. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you triggered benefits. You just have to have had 1,000, a certain amount of hours worked in the various years. So you have people, and Lisa can tell you, there are people who are adamant about the wording here. And so today I issued you a memo to help you through this process that addressed two things. There was a long time when we all knew in Michigan law that you had to take statutes at their face value, statutes, state law. If it used the word shall meant mandatory. If it used the word may meant, the optional, discretionary. And you had to take every word, and no word could be left unchecked. No, you can't render any word nugatory. You have to take every word, and you have to read as written. And then somewhere along the line in the 90s, late 80s, they said, we're going to do the same thing for ordinances. Because there was a lot of ordinances questions, and they said, no, the way you look at a statute is the same way we're going to have you look at ordinances. So you have to take these ordinances, and you can't leave any words untouched, and you can't insert words that would make more sense. And I think, you have a person on one of the pension boards who believes that I'm not reading this right. And actually, I've conceded at every meeting that I don't know who wrote these. Maybe what some of the board members are saying should have been written, or maybe it was, some thinking, because some of it might have made, but it isn't in the ordinance. It isn't in the ordinance. So when I take a look at, does the person meet the eligibility factors of the plan, the retirement, and is the person a participant, and then is the person a member, you would think the word participant means, are they participating? It's not what it means. And you would think the word member means they're a member. It's not what it means, because these ordinances defined these terms. And so when you go through all of that, these two individuals meet the plain language of these ordinances and are entitled, in my opinion, to retiree health care. And the analysis is in depth. However many times you want to read it, I guarantee you'll be confused, and then you'll understand it, and then the next time you read it, you'll be confused, and then you'll understand it. So it's a difficult analysis. I don't think your drafters, though, and Lisa, this might be something you haven't heard me say before, I don't think the drafters, in retrospect now, were as off as I might have originally thought. They just didn't draft it right. Because of this. The way some people on the lower boards are saying is that if you make an election to go to ICMA, you're out. You're out. You're never, because you went ICMA under retirement, you're not getting retiree health care. That may have been harsh back when they were drafting this, because there was some indication they wanted people to go to the ICMA plan. They didn't have to, they had a choice. But who would have made a choice like that, knowing that if I do this now, I'll never get retiree health care. I didn't even think of that, Lisa. That's something new that you and I, even you and I didn't discuss this. And we beat this to death a little bit. But it started today to make more sense to me that maybe there was wisdom in the language as is, that they would define what it meant to be membership in the retirement system. Membership in the retirement system. Wendy, if you and I were sitting somewhere and I said to you, membership in the retirement system, you would say, well, you got to belong to the system. You got to be a member. You got to be exercising the rights under that. You got to be getting it, right? It's wrong. It's not what it says. Membership just means you met a certain criteria of hours when you were employed. It doesn't say anything else. It just doesn't say it. Participant. Bill, if I said, you know, I want you to be a participant, you would say, well, how do I participate, right? What do I do to participate? That's not what it means in this scheme, because participant is defined. And when you take the definitions, these people meet the criteria. The other thing that I put in this memo that I want you to know is that when these two folks left, we signed a contract with them, giving them these benefits. I mean, we contractually obligated to give them the benefits. So that led to the other part of my memo today, where folks on the lower board are saying to me, any contract that is not consistent with the ordinance is null and void. And, you know, I gave you the case law. It says that that's true. It's the same with state law. You can't contract in Michigan on an issue that's contrary to state law. Recent case law says that's true with ordinances. So those contracts are consistent with your ordinance. So I don't find them to be null and void. You have a series of other contracts with people that may in fact be contrary to these ordinances. And those I have not looked at yet, but those will be before you for further discussion. So when you go through this and you balance the language between section 33, you look at the definition of participant, you go to section 32, you look at what does it mean to be, have a membership in the retirement system, you come to the conclusion that starts and ends on my page 13. And my conclusion is that these two remain eligible for retiree health care benefits, not only because they meet the criteria of the two ordinances balanced together, but also because you signed a contract with them giving them those rights. If in fact I believed that that contract violated these ordinances, I would tell you that. It just doesn't. So procedurally, you might say, well, why are we talking about this, Mr. Davis? I can see you saying that, Jacob. We're talking.
I would never say such a thing.
You're giving me a look. We're talking about this because at the lower board levels where Lisa and I think Mike are there, and it was decided that because there's, you know, some controversy with how this is, you know, being read at those levels, that they would bump the issue to you to look at, because ultimately you have the final say over these issues. And so they asked that I bring this opinion to you. And if you were going to make a motion, you could make a motion that says, you know, I move that we accept the conclusions and the recommendations made in the attorney's opinion regarding these two individuals' retiree health care, or you can reject it. You can say you don't agree with my analysis. Either one.
And what happens if you reject it?
I'll just be really mad. No, if you reject it, then I mean, we'd have to go back to the lower boards and advise them on that and see what action would have to be taken.
I thought his point was the reason why he was elevating it to this board because he wanted an additional attorney's opinion.
He said he had a lawyer.
No, he was asking us to send it here so that,
Oh, if you want to do that, go ahead.
that's what he was asking for.
Well, I think this board has the ultimate authority on this question.
That could be, but I'm just telling the
Yeah.
board what he asked for.
Yeah. So, and what, do you,
I made a motion to bring it up to this board, because he wanted further investigation done. Which at our board level, we cannot do, it's up to your commissioners to do the investigation or not. So, he's asking for another investigation to be done. Bob said what he said, now it's up to you to decide if you accept it or hire another attorney to do an investigation.
So, so I can make a motion to accept the analysis that you just did, correct? For Ames and Emile?
you could, or you could accept it and have it looked at to be verified by another attorney, or you could say, I'm not accepting it, and I'd like another opinion on it.
Well, that's why we hired you as a city attorney, right?
Yep.
But he's asking for another attorney's opinion.
Correct.
Kleeman is?
Yeah, anything.
He doesn't feel that the opinion is,
Right, he's not going to let go. Right. He voluntarily retired at age 49. But this is just for,
This is, the only two issues here are, it's very narrow. It's Richard D. Ames,
Right.
retiree healthcare, and John C. Emile's spouse, retiree.
Jack Emil, actually.
Yeah. What is
John
it?
Emil, not Emil.
Okay.
Emil.
All right.
so I made a motion. I make a motion to accept the analysis of our city attorney regarding Ames and Emile's.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote on this, Chris? Yes?
Yes.
I need a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No,
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Let's talk about the water plant upgrade, the programmable, I almost couldn't say that word, programmable logic controller, the PLC.
Use PLC, it's a lot easier. As you know, I think last year we did the upgrade to the SCADA system. At that time, they were asking us to consider switching our PLCs out because the Allen Bradley that's in there now is obsolete, and we're not gonna be able to find replacement parts for them. I had Kerr Pump come in and give us a quote to do this because they did the initial install of the SCADA program. They know our tags, they know our addresses. It'd make it a lot easier for them to be able to do it. So I'm just looking for approval of this.
What was the amount?
It's a 3-year, look at the second page. It's a 3-year project, and we've got it broken down into 28,000 first year for phase 1, phase 2 is $36,090, phase 3 is $49,259. We have budgeted $35,000 this year, and we have to adjust a little bit of budgets for the next 2 years, because we did $35,000 a year for the next 3 years to get this PLC replaced.
So do we just do phase 1 right now for this year, or do we do all 3?
Well, they want a PO so they can get the parts in, and that way there's no additional cost for us as we move forward.
So 35,000 a year was budgeted, so our
Yeah.
phase 1 is actually less.
Right.
And we would need to waive
We
competitive
do
bidding,
need to-
Yes,
Yes.
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 So, I mean, I can tell you, I have programmed PLCs. It's brutal. It's very time consuming. If you want someone who's not familiar with our system to do it, you're gonna add another zero onto the price. It is, for someone to come into a system that doesn't know it and doesn't understand what's going on already, and it's basically gonna try and reinvent the wheel, it's mind-boggling how long it takes. And then the other thing I would suggest is, we approve all 3 phases. That way they can order all the parts. Because PLCs are like personal computers. They change them all the time. And if you design a system today, a year from now, they may change it. You may not be able to get the parts, or you're going to have to redesign it a year from now. I've been down that road more times than I care to admit.
Okay. All right, so we need, our first motion is we need a motion to waive competitive bidding.
Correct.
Yep.
So I will make a motion, we waive competitive bidding for the installation of the PLCs at the water plant from Curb Pump and Supply.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now we need a motion to approve the quote, and it would be 3 phases, but the total is $113,649.
I'll make a motion, we approve the quote for purchasing the new PLC system from Curb Pump and Supply for $113,649 over the next 3 years.
Okay.
Support.
Okay.
And I would also like to add that the Allen Bradley unit that they're planning on installing is an extremely good unit. Allen Bradleys are used on 75 to 80% of all PLC installations in the North American continent. So it's not a bargain basement unit. You are getting a high-quality unit that is also going to be supported for a while.
Good to know. Okay, I need a motion.
We have a
The
motion and a
motion was
second.
made and even
Yep.
support was given.
So we do have motion and support. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And the cruise boat that we had in Marine City has left, and it is in Chicago, or soon, or close to being in Chicago. They drove it around all the Great Lakes. They left last week. Unfortunately, the boat was sold, but we understand why. So we have to talk about the termination of the lease.
Yeah, so Mr. Gauss called me and indicated that he's willing to do whatever this commission wants. You know, he has the other vessel. He's willing to leave it there, he's willing to move it, he's willing to leave it there to the end of the season and then move it. I told him that we would need something in writing from him, which he's preparing, affirmatively asking us to terminate the lease. I think that would be best in the record. And then we'll terminate the lease. Either party had the right to terminate the lease with notice to the other party anyways. He just wants, he didn't want to initiate that letter until I got back to him with maybe what you want, you know, and I don't know what value the other boat serves to the city. I just don't know, and if it doesn't have a value to you going forward, being moored there, I just assume not have the liability of it being moored there, and that the lease be terminated and we return life to the way it was.
Yeah, because I believe he said that when he was only licensed for 6 people on that.
Yeah, it had a 6-pack license, which
Yeah.
is, you know, it allows you to take a small group out, and he has the license to navigate it.
And that's not going to help the city. So.
I don't want to give you my opinion on that, but you need to decide if, you know, you want to maintain the lease just for that vessel and have the ongoing issues, or just cut bait and terminate the lease as a whole.
Well, isn't there some issues down there from residents about an oil slick?
There, you know, I think that was raised at a meeting where somebody saw a sheen,
Well, I got pictures for you.
yeah, a sheen on the surface.
It's right around his boat. It's been there for a while, and that's kind of a shame. A couple other things, the neighbors weren't real happy. He didn't kind of live up to some of the issues that he said he would do, and that's a disappointment to me. If you say you're gonna do things to help the neighborhood, you need to do that.
So maybe, you know, where the direction would be is just move towards terminating the lease as a whole.
From the standpoint of termination, I mean, this year's been paid, correct? So it would just be to, you know, omit subsequent years.
No, he pays monthly,
Maybe it's monthly, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a large,
$208 a month and 33 cents.
we
Yeah.
took the yearly fee and annualized it,
Gotcha.
right? So it's a couple $100 a month.
Sure. So were he to keep the boat there, he would still need to pay the, you know, monthly fees
Yeah.
through whatever time frame we determined. Does anybody know, does he have a place to dock the other boat? You mentioned he doesn't care one way or the
No,
other.
I think he's willing to, you know, I think what you could do is maybe just terminate the lease, you know, see if we can get it effective, I don't know, you know, like the end of October or something.
All right.
It'd be nice to open that back up to transient boaters again.
Agreed, yeah.
You got a little bit of summer left. We should open it up and give it to them.
So we have to make a motion to terminate his lease?
A motion that you would like to see the lease terminated in full.
And I'll make that motion.
But you gotta put a date on there. Right?
Yeah, you could say effective,
Whenever. But we gotta give him time to get his boat.
He has,
out there.
exactly, yeah, you can't just,
No,
you
I know.
yank the carpet out from underneath him, but, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, some sort of notice needs to be given.
Yeah.
why don't you just say,
And he's not even here right now, so,
why don't you just say effective at the earliest date possible under the lease?
could do that too. Okay. Well, I need a motion.
But should we put a length of time? I mean, we say the earliest date possible, he could put that out
You could
there.
drag it out for another year.
Let's say
Well,
by
maybe-
October 31st or something.
Not to
Not
be
to-
past October 31st. So if I can get it out and done earlier, I will, understanding October 31st is the drop dead date.
Okay. I need a motion.
I make a motion to terminate that lease and that it's out by October 1st, you say?
31st.
31st, okay.
Support.
Earliest convenience.
We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Is that what it is?
Is it? Is it a roll call? It's not a roll call.
No, you can, all in favor?
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, items removed from the consent agenda.
Our meeting on Yom Kippur.
Oh, the September 16th City Commission meeting cancellation.
Yeah.
Correct.
How about that? We don't cancel it.
I think we need to start having these. I think there's a lot of things that need to be dealt with soon enough, and I think it's wrong to keep canceling these meetings. It just puts more and more issues by the wayside. We've always had full agendas for 2 meetings a month for as long as I've been on here, and I think this is just getting a little ridiculous.
Well, we're trying to get down to once a month city commission meetings because of the fact that that's all that some of the city office workers do is do packets
Well,
and
that's part of the
agendas,
job.
Packets and agendas. But you know what? We have a new city manager coming in, so she can make that decision. So what do you guys think?
My personal
Cancellation.
opinion, I think we should have the meeting.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it's going to be her, yeah.
It'll You know, it'll be her first, plus, again, I mean, I hate to see us just approving financial disbursements once a month. I mean, yes, it would be nice to only meet once a month, but I think we also have a duty to the city to make sure business gets conducted in a timely manner.
Yeah, especially with the financial director still out on leave.
I mean, obviously, if there's a scheduled meeting one day after Christmas or something like that, that's
Right.
a little different story, but
Yeah.
It is Yom Kippur.
So what do I do for, I mean, it was just on the consent agenda, I don't have to, there's no motion or anything, or do we just vote on it?
No, you treat it as a separate agenda item.
Okay. Well, then I need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we do not approve the cancellation of the September
16.
16th meeting.
Support.
Support.
Motion and support, roll call vote, please.
Do we have discussion?
Do you want to?
You want to discuss it more?
No, I'm just wondering if we got already a schedule, don't we, for the whole year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're scheduled.
Are we, that's still gonna say we're not
We're
gonna
just doing,
cancel?
Absolutely.
we're just doing September.
Okay.
I don't think we need a roll call vote. We can-
Just all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. City managers report. Mike?
There's our permit for a kayak launch.
Yay! How long did that take?
Too long. They
Good
apologized
grief. What was
in
the
their
original
email
date on
to, because they're shorthanded and they had to send it all over the place to administrators, whatever. But we finally got it, so as soon as we get that thing in,
Good.
we'll start cranking on this.
Winter
Tomorrow?
kayaking season
I'm
is just
hoping.
around the corner.
Should be in by 4 o'clock tomorrow.
I'll be your first user.
Okay. We had a $10,000 grant from the St. Clair Foundation that we did not know what it was for or anything. So we finally figured out what it was for. It's for the Bridge of Bay Trail loop going downtown. It's for preliminary design for PCE to go ahead and go do it. And, you know, to do a design and figure out what the safest route is, where we need crosswalks, where we need stop signs or bicycle cross things. They will do this and then they bill the county directly. So no money comes out of our pocket. So we're gonna go ahead and go with them and have them do the survey and do the preliminary design. All right. The tables are built, new commission tables. Formica came in yesterday. So he's gonna try to have them done in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we have it done by next commission meeting. Union Street Water Main Project is gonna start on the 13th. That's the tentative date right now. So that's another one that's gonna get off our list to get done. I did find the St. Clair County Emergency Management Plan and the Marine City Support Plan for that plan. I am updating all the contact informations in those plans, and once I do that, I will bring them to you, to the commission, or Holly will, or somebody will. We're hoping to take down that gazebo in about 2 weeks. Get that out of the way, get that set up and done.
Don't cry.
Uh,
Judy.
Don't shoot me. We had a major sewer backup on Hill Street, this past week. Again, wipies,
What was it caused from?
White.
wipies,
What was it caused from again?
flushable wipes.
Flushing, yes,
Yes.
flushing wipes that say they're flushable.
If-
They are
if
not
we had-
flushable.
We had a ball roughly this big and that long in our sewer system.
Yeah.
It created about 3 inches of water in one basement and 2 inches in the other, just like around the drain. I sent my guys in to clean it all out, and they did the best job they could. Went there this morning, and you can still smell it, and something else needed to be done. I had Servpro come in and clean the basement the proper way. disinfect it, humidifier, everything. Just to give you a heads up on that one. And, that's about it.
Okay, moving on to commissioner privilege. Commissioner Bryson, have anything?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to find the words, to be honest. I am extremely upset at the breakdown in communication that has happened over the last few weeks. And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not accusing, but obviously something has happened, and it is, me personally, I'm extremely upset that it has happened and things have gone so far sideways. So I look forward to having a third party come in and figure out exactly what happened, what are the facts, and then we, as a board, can decide what we need to do from there to keep it from happening again.
I agree.
So, other than that, that's it.
Commissioner Hendricks.
All right. I'm going to start off by saying I do not support the hiring of the new city manager any longer. This whole thing is turned into a big mess, and I think more will come out. I'm thoroughly disappointed in this commission for no backbone in dealing with the background check situation. You've now set up for a hostile work environment for some of your employees, and you have a responsibility to them also. This is going to set us up for a large liability situation. When you get on a board, you have to deal with situations. You have failed the people of this community terribly. I'm done.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes, I want to kind of piggyback on what Commissioner Bryson said. I'm very disappointed in how this all played out. I'm also very disappointed in the fact that I think we have, and we have hired a very capable candidate, or I shouldn't say candidate, because we've hired her, city manager. But this has tainted her hiring, and I hope that everybody just, can give her a chance here on this now. I mean, what happened here is not her fault. I don't think we, like we say, if we get into this investigation and something else comes out, well then, something else comes out, and then we have to deal with it at that point. But I am very interested in this third party, this investigation. I do want to see what's going to go on there. So I don't feel like I've let this community down. I mean, I take this stuff I go to bed with this stuff. I wake up with this stuff. I think about how I'm going to vote all day, every day when I know things are like this are coming up. So I have not disappointed or let this community down. Okay? And if you've got a problem with it, then come and talk to me. All right? Don't say it behind my back. Come and talk to me. Y'all know where I'm at. All right? Y'all have my email address. But I will not be bullied, and I will not be accused of not doing my job up here, because I am. I don't always like it. I don't always like the decisions I have to make. And sometimes sometimes do I agree with myself? Probably not. Or do I second guess my decisions? Maybe sometimes. Yeah, I do. But that's part of the job. We're not perfect. Folks, you don't understand. We are not trained in this. We come in, you want to run. You want to run for an office, then you run. We've had a hard time filling our ballot, our ballot. So, that's just where it is. And I'll be honest, I don't know how much longer I want to do it, to be honest with you, because it's a thankless position. We've got two commissioners sitting over here who have done this forever, so they've gotten on-the-job training. That's basically the training that they've had, okay? We haven't. So we walked into a hornet's nest with this. All right? We got a mole in our office, clearly. All right? So, I don't know. I don't know where that's, where, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. But, I mean, did they think they were doing the right thing? Maybe they could have been, you know, bringing something forward. But I think we need to give our new city manager the opportunity to do the job that we hired her to do. And that's all. Well, no, and I do want to say, I want to thank the Economic and Development Committee for the work that they've been doing. So, you know, they work hard, and they've started a few projects for us that we, you know, had talked about, but just kind of had stalled for a while. And, you know, we all don't have time to do it, and they did it. So, thank you. So you're doing a good job. Keep it up. Thank you. Good.
Very good. Commissioner Clausen?
It's the same thing, it's communication. And I felt that for a long time, not just with this, but back, I've had so much trouble getting my emails sent to me in my office, and I've always told them, my emails, I get them in the morning at the office, and then I go I have other communities. And that's where I get mine, first thing in the morning. Don't send them to me at 5 o'clock. Don't send them to me at 10 o'clock at night. You know, it's just, and we need communication. That's what it is. I feel that we all should have that. All this communication could have been solved if everybody got, like, all the boards are supposed to get all their information at the same time. So one person can't get it, even with the Planning Commission. One person can't get it, and then out there discussing it. And then you get into a meeting, and you're already at a meeting that's already formed to vote one way. So it's communication. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Ross?
I believe I've already said most of my piece in the discussion item on the city manager and the lack of the committee's forthrightness in expressing to the commission where they stood on the downgrading of the background check. However, as I did also note, it was a very small amount, chiefly related to social media background look. And again, I feel like with that being, you know, in the advent of where we are today, in my personal opinion, I don't think that it really has any place in this investigation. So personally speaking, I'm okay with it. However, again, I am disappointed in the lack of transparency there. But as echoed by Jake and Wendy, I really hope we can give this city manager a chance. We did vote for her on her qualifications. She interviewed beautifully, and I think we all felt, and I personally still feel, she's the best person for the job. That's all I'll say on that. In relation to your report, Mike, this is related to the Beta Bridge Trail, which I just went all the way from here to St. Clair on Tuesday. Yeah, we are severely lacking from, about Chartier south.
This won't be going that way.
Wouldn't be going that way?
No, this would be going down West Boulevard, someplace up over the bridge, if they determine that Broadway is the safest way, or going down South Mary the Pearl, uptown, around through town to the lower bridge to pick up if we get the marina,
Okay.
over to where the kayak launch is gonna be, down South Bell River Road to Ward Street, cross up Ward Street, hit the bike trail there.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and I guess the other thing would be Commissioner Kreidler's idea for an M29 road diet. I don't know if that would fit into that at all, but in a similar way to what St. Clair did,
Yes.
right? So we have a center lane, 2 each-way lanes, and then bike lanes on the exterior.
I agree with
St. Clair is reconsidering too, you know.
They are?
Well, a lot of people are complaining because of the backups at the bridge and everything else on that one end of town. So they're relooking at theirs.
They changed that traffic light, and I haven't seen any backups. Have you? You live in St. Clair. No, I haven't either, and I travel that
Every time
road
I
a
come
ton.
through there, I
The
get
other thing is, we have a benefit of not having a bridge.
Right.
So that would sort of be
Right.
moot. But nonetheless, I am, also enjoy cycling, as does, I know, Commissioner Kreidler, and I would just appreciate that.
It
So,
was in the Times Herald anyway, the article.
okay.
They're reconsidering the road diet north of the bridge,
Yes.
not the part of it that goes
Yeah.
to their downtown.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for that, but yeah, I still think it would be a great idea for our segment of M29. That is all. Thank you, and I hope everybody has a great week.
Thank you. I have a code compliance complaint form that I have in my hands. This form is available in the lobby area, along with many other forms that we have.
We're working on them.
As our city, we are hoping to condense these. But somebody walked into the city offices last week and handed our code enforcement officer.
No, they put it in the mailbox.
Oh, they put it in their mailbox, okay. Anyway, it was a whole list of homes that they thought needed attention because of blight and trash and that kind of stuff. The proper way to do that, and I'm just letting everyone know, we can't have a laundry list of that stuff without any other information on it. It truly has to be on this form. And on the bottom of the form is the complainant information, which that person would fill out. That gets cut off so that the person receiving the complaint does not know where the complaint came from. It's an anonymous complaint. So just letting everyone know that if you do have an area or a home in your neighborhood that you need, or that you feel needs a little bit of attention, please come and grab the code compliance complaint form and go about it that way. I want to let everyone know, too, that a group of us went to Lansing and spoke a few weeks ago trying to get additional funding for the marina. We have another presentation coming in October in Detroit, so we are still working very hard on the marina project and getting funding. And I want to just speak very briefly on what everybody else was saying. There was absolutely, as far as I know, in our subcommittees and our board here, there was no wrongdoing with hiring that city manager. We have an executed contract. We have a resolution to appoint her. She passed her original background check and the enhanced background check with flying colors. And, you know, the only thing that I think obviously needs attention is there was some leaked information. And that information, I think, came from our city offices somewhere. So with someone saying that we're creating a hostile work environment, we are not creating a hostile work environment. We need to find out, we need to have confidentiality in a city office. You know, if you've got one person talking in an office and somebody in the other office overhears that conversation, they need to keep their mouth shut. I mean, we have to have confidentiality. And with confidentiality brings credibility. So was there a mistake made in our subcommittee? We readily admitted it. You know, as far as the levels, we admitted it. It's done. She passed with flying colors, and we are moving on. I'd like everybody in the city to give her, you know, welcome her with open arms. We hired her because she was extremely qualified, and I think she's a real go-getter. I want to thank our interim city manager, Mike Itrich, from the bottom of my heart for stepping up and taking over the position of city manager. I mean, if anybody needs a standing ovation, it's Mike. He has a lot going on with DPW. That is the busiest department that we have here in the city, and he went above and beyond to step up and help out. And all he was doing was trying to help. And so we should never, you know, try to make someone feel that, you know, all of their efforts were not Go ahead, you have something to say?
I got something to say. With all this lying and deceit going on, all this stuff, when this investigation is done, they're gonna see that I did no wrongdoing.
Right.
People got information that shouldn't have had information. People knew about
We
information.
deserve the
Hang
information.
on.
People knew about this information before the last vote. So after this is done, I'm out of here. I can't work for people that no trust, you can't trust, backstabbers, whatever.
Well, I'm thanking you for,
You walk in that office and whatever you say, less than 5 minutes later, it's everywhere else.
that's going to change, and we're going to be putting systems in place to make sure that that does change, because that is not right.
I'm telling you,
I
I'm
got a
done.
question for Bob. Bob, what about this report? Is it open to the public? The report that we had done, investigation?
The level 3,
Correct.
I communicated it to you today under attorney-client privilege and
Correct.
explained to you that you hold the privilege.
Yes, and this board should release that
So
information
that
if you
that's
feel so confident.
for a reason.
Yeah, because you don't want to release it.
Look, let me say a few words here. Listen, you're being a little hard on yourselves, okay? So for the last several months, you've had an interim city manager. I don't think your interim city manager ever went to city manager training class.
Training school.
You also have been lacking your financial expert with an interim person. You're down 2 out of a short staff to begin with. So, you've had some, I didn't talk to anybody on this issue who I thought displayed to me a bad heart or a bad intention. When the committee met and Mike communicated to Mr. Pfeiffer, there could have been a miscue. But I'm going to tell you right now, I talked directly to Mr. Pfeiffer, and there could have been a miscue. He's a great guy, seems like a wonderful gentleman, he's been in the business a long time. But the communication I had with him was a little bit challenging to make sure I was getting my point across. So,
Isn't he a retired cop?
yeah, he's
an
a
older
great guy.
gentleman? Yep.
And he's very thorough, very good at his job. So I just, we'll ferret this out, and I think what we'll learn is that there was some miscues on the communication, exactly what you're saying.
But we
And
should release it. If everything's great, release it.
I can't release anything. It's
Well,
not,
I'm talking to this
oh,
board.
okay.
Release it.
It's not mine to read. So
I'll
I
make a
just want,
motion to release the file.
I just
Do it.
I just don't want you to walk away thinking, you're down two key players.
Right.
You have one trying to do something he's not trained to do, doing his, best. He calls, I talk to him as often as I can. I probably know Mike better now than I did when he was just running, his DPW. I talk to him all the time. He's constantly asking me questions, constantly seeking guidance, constantly concerned about what's going on. And, it's just, this thing has turned itself. Lisa, I'm going to tell you right now, I received 3 phone calls this afternoon telling me exactly when you were in the police parking lot and when you left. Why do I want to know that?
That's fine.
No, but why do I want to know that?
Why do you want?
Why do I want to know that?
Why do you want to know that?
I guess I'm not allowed to go to the police department, huh?
I'm just telling you, that, we don't need
That's
that.
fine.
We don't need it.
We don't
That's
need
the
that.
point. We don't need it.
We
But I
don't,
think we need to be open, and to be open, release the stuff.
I think everybody here agrees on the open communication. I think everybody here agrees there was a miscue.
Right.
I think everybody here agrees, I think put most pointedly by Mr. Ross here, who said, I'm disappointed with the communication, but the result is okay.
Right.
Then release
Yeah.
it.
So I'm going to end my commissioner privilege, my mayor privilege.
Ain't gonna do it, are they?
By again thanking Mike. We are going to have, obviously, an investigation, so nothing should be released prior to that investigation.
Why not?
And
It's not part of it.
nothing should be released prior to the investigation.
Why do you make all the decisions?
And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Jeez. Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a
Support.
second. Roll call, please.
We don't need a roll call, just regular.
Just a yea
Oh,
or nay.
Yay.
Aye.
Say aye. Anybody opposed? All right.
Thanks for looking at them.
I am banging that gavel.